Hello, my name is Mark Otabo, and you are watching The Big Issue. The debate on bride price has been ongoing on different fronts, so weighing the pros and cons of the debate is our business here today. Now, in its purest sense, bride price is meant to indicate a man's readiness for marriage and, more importantly, the value he places on his wife-to-be. However, some people are of the opinion that bride price no longer brings joy to intending couples. Now, their argument is hinged on the fact that the activity has become an obstacle to marriage considering the outrageous sum most societies compel grooms to pay. Toyin Ndidi-Taiwo is a women's rights advocate and lawyer. She is here to say that giving a token as bride price for all the sacrifice of the bride's family is not too much to ask, and moreover, bride price payment is cultural and biblical. Come on, and welcome onto the stage. Come on. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
All right, so on the other hand, Akeem Fadun, barrister at law at Falana and Falana Chambers, is also here to say that bride price may have well been a well-intentioned tradition, but has grown into something unpleasant to potential grooms. Come on, put your hands together. It's good to have you,
Thank you
barrister.
very much.
Fantastic. Now, should bride price be abolished? The audience is also on standby via Zoom to join the debate. So now, the show begins. Wherever you are, definitely, this is a moment you don't want to blink, because for everything we'll be talking about today is hinged on what is happening in our society, and hopefully these amazing guests will be bringing a whole lot to the fore, and then we have a lot to ponder about. I would begin first with Toyin. Very quickly, Toyin, I know you are more of standing on the popular side now of the bride price. You are saying it's sacrosanct. You are saying it's cultural, it's biblical, it should happen. Now, how do you begin?
Well, I think that bride price is something that is more of a cultural thing.
Okay.
I don't want to bring my argument on the biblical side because not everybody that's a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more of a cultural thing, and
a necessity.
It's a necessity because it's part of our culture, it's our way of life. It's something that will live for our children and the children's children to come. Yeah. And this is something that they value as part of our totality as Africans.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's your, for now, let's have you, Fadun, very quickly.
Yes, yes, it's correct. She said that it's part of our culture. But the fact is, there are a lot of our culture that has been stopped. You don't see a lot of people now in the Southwest with tribal marks.
Anymore.
You don't see most people like dancing the masquerade. Maybe every vicinity has a masquerade and dancing around the community. You don't go to the middle of Ikate, Legushi, or those places that are still ruled by people from the days gone by. They have masquerade of that, but you don't see it on Lekki Expressway. Yeah. So there are some things that are cultural, but eventually have to be phased out.
Okay.
That's always been my position.
All right.
And I will make that clear.
All right. Now, he's saying there are some things that are cultural, but eventually have to be phased out. So he is also, I think he's saying also the bride price is not an exception. Do you agree with him?
I don't agree with him at all. See, when we're talking about culture, we're saying it's a way of life. And it's, when we lose our culture, we lose our identity as human beings. We lose ourselves. We lose our essence as people. So you see that you are phasing out some culture. Yes, I agree that some cultures that are abhorrent, to natural justice, and human rights should be phased out. But bride price has not done anything. It has not harmed anybody. It's not inimical to anybody's growth. If he is saying that, oh, we can't reform it, because some people are trying to extort others, using the bride price as a means. But if you say that, maybe I agree with you. But bride price is something that is like an intention. Okay. I'm ready to marry. It's not as if you're buying a person. No, it's not. It's an intention to show that, yes, I want to get married. Even in the Western culture, you want to marry a lady, you kneel down, you propose. That is what bride price, in essence, is like. Okay. Yes.
All right, now, let me take you up on this very quickly. Now, you are quite aware that most families these days, you find, not all men though, but we find in most cases, men who abuse their wives, you know, are always of the opinion that they paid a bride price on her, they own her. You see, they make statements like, you are now my property, you are now my problem, you are now my headache, you are now my everything. I can do what I will. Nobody can come to my home and command me and tell me how to rule my home. Now, that's it. Now, he feels he has paid. Now, you sometimes you see the bitterness that comes from that argument that I paid my bride price, I did what I need to do, so you need to listen to what I'm telling you. I'm the man in the house. I mean, don't you think this particular practice is giving people the nerve to go overboard?
At all. I disagree with you in totality.
Right.
Yes. It's a narcissist, an abuser, will hide under any excuse to perpetrate his abusive tendencies. Even in the Western world, in the Western climate where they do not pay bride price, there are issues of domestic violence. In fact, the kind of domestic violence they have is oftentimes more horrific than what we have over here. We have maybe a man beating a woman, you know, but when you're talking about real horrific domestic acts of violence, you get it more from the Western world, and they don't pay bride price. So bride price, any man who comes and says that because I paid the bride price, I own the person, he's just looking for an excuse to perpetrate his evil act. Bride price doesn't mean that you own somebody. In fact, when the bride price is being paid, most families will tell you, I am not selling my children to you, I'm not selling my daughter to you. It is just a symbol of the whole ceremony. It doesn't mean that you can't even buy a person. The laws of Nigeria is against you buying a person. So buying a person is illegal. So if you're saying bride price, that means everybody should have been arrested. Bride price doesn't mean you own anybody. It's just narcissists and abusers who hide behind that reason now in excuse to perpetrate their evil act.
All right, Father, do you have a contrary argument to what she just said now before I hit you with my question?
Yes, she said quite a few things, so I'm going to start from the ones I can clearly remember.
Yeah.
She mentioned the fact that even in the West, when they want to propose, they get down on one knee.
Yeah.
We should know that the issue of bride price also started from over there. They used to pay it before. They have gotten to a stage whereby they don't anymore. They just get on one knee. And my advocacy is not particularly to say maybe there is not something that should go to someone. But she said, use the word reformation, which is exactly what I'm saying. Bride price in the sense of what it is, which is money from the groom to the family of the bride.
Yeah, right.
In that sense, should be abolished. It should come. I have a different narrative of what I feel should work, which is what will be better for everybody.
Okay.
But as it stands, because of many horrific stories that we have heard, all across, because it's something that is common across Africa, horrific stories of what has happened to people after that. And sometimes you have young people trying to get married. A lot of marriages have not happened because of bride price. Maybe if we don't know what is going on because we are convenient in our own sphere, it doesn't mean these things are not happening. Marriages don't happen because of requirements of these things. And sometimes, even when they were paid. Because for people to say, as you said, that the parent will tell you, I am not selling my daughter. That phrase is born out of something because of what has happened before. They know that a lot of people think that since I have stumped up the amount needed to pay the bride price, I have that belief that I own you, whether you like it or not. Because you don't know what I have been through to get that money I gave to your parents, which of course I would have rather kept for myself. But I gave it to your parents. Now you cannot be here, you are not giving me soup on time, or you're telling me you're tired, you're busy. Do you know how much I paid? Some people are like that. Yes, some people are naturally violent, and some people just need something to push them. They use that as an excuse to give all sorts of excuses for violence and all of that. Yeah. It's a deeper issue. As I've said, she raised quite some issues. And I have an opinion that as it stands, the way it is, it should be abolished and then reformed. Reformed means something else. I have my own opinion about what should be done. But it should be as it stands, abolished.
Yeah, I want to say something. I'm happy that he's agreeing with me that bride price doesn't need to be abolished. Do you understand?
No, I said he should.
And he is also agreeing with me that...
He said he should.
He's also agreeing with me that people hide under the excuse of bride price, that there are a lot of violent people, and it's not the bride price that makes them to be violent. See, in India, they pay dowry. It's the woman's family that pays the dowry. Don't they abuse women? And their violence.
That has been abolished.
And their violence.
There's an act
but what I'm saying is this. It is not an excuse. It's not a panacea for someone to abuse another person. Okay. Any abusive person will look for any excuse. Even if we abolish bride price in Nigeria, abusive men will still exist. Abusive women will still exist. An abuser is an abuser. He doesn't have any reason to be an abuser.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Now, Barrister Fadun, very quickly, you recall that sometimes ladies will tell you, I can't continue with this relationship because you're not serious. You don't seem like someone who value me. If you value me, you will come see my parents, you will do the necessary things before we can carry on. I mean, you can't tell me to sleep with you when you have not even done the necessary things on my head. As a matter of fact, I need to move on from you. And this is the love of your life you're looking at.
Yes.
And the bride price is standing there as an obstacle. And she's saying, if you don't pay this bride price, I'm sorry, this can never work. And sometimes you look at it from another angle, you discover that she's a lady who is so raised well to understand that this is the process that is needed to happen for her to move into your house or even start anything serious with you at all. Now, in that situation, I mean, how do you convince a young lady, or how do you come into play to want to take that stand of not wanting to pay that bride price, but yet you still want to have your way with the love of your life?
Well, good question. What I'm going to say is, I can agree that at this point in time, it might not be the most popular opinion. Maybe to some people, they might agree to it. But it might not be the most popular opinion to say, I'm not paying the bride price if the bride's parents are insistent upon it. And I did mention before that some marriages have not happened due to these requests. Because there are some lists that you look at and you know that there is no way they're not going to open a supermarket after receiving everything you're going to give to them. True. So when you get there and you see what they're asking you to do, and you look at your pockets and even all of that of your brothers, and you say, there's no way we can afford to stomp this up. So then you call and let them know that, you know what, you have to make a decision. If it's me you love and you want to spend the rest of your life, note, rest of your life with me. I am not saying because I don't have now, I might not have in future. Because usually these are the toughest times of a man's life. You're starting, you know, from after your school, your service, you get a job whereby you barely get to make ends meet. And now you're here, and someone's asking you to bring, I don't want to mention anything now, but you know how it goes. Gives you that, exactly. So you're here now, you're looking at the parents and like, why are you making me go through this? But the wife now is saying that you have to come up and get these things. So it puts you in a bind. What am I going to do? Some people take the choice of going to take a loan. They have not even started yet. We are talking about the bride price now. There's also the wedding ceremony costs and all of those things. By the time some of these people finish all of these things, they are in a debt at that stage of their life, and they start running up and down. Sometimes they even go into crime to make it, I can't, this is an embarrassment. I don't have money, but I have to meet up. So these things are one of the things that we say, that these things should be abolished and reformed as it stands. You know, you mentioned the West maybe 2 or 3 times in a discussion. She also mentioned the issue of dowry. In India, it was also abolished by an act in 1961 in India, because they are saying the woman should give money to the groom. I'm going to marry you as a female, and then I have to pay you for you to marry me. And then, of course, how does that work? So that was abolished by an act in India in 1961. So as time goes, you know, you look at these things and say, what are the things that we really need to do? What are the things that we really need to amend? And what are the things that we know? The benefit in this thing, the disadvantage is more than the advantage. So let's just find a way to, you know, do something about it. That's my opinion.
No, what he said, you got it clearly. But he's saying that in the case of a bride price, some parents would think the man is not capable to take care of the woman, and that's why he's not able to come up with the bride price, which is actually not the case in most cases. So how do you come to terms with bringing those parents to that understanding that, look, this man is actually ready to take care of this woman, but what you're asking him to bring is outrageous?
That's what I said initially when I started my discussion here. I said, what we should be thinking of is reforming some of the practices, some of this culture attached to bride price.
But you just said it is cultural.
It's and cultural.
Being culture is sacrosanct.
Culture is dynamic.
Culture is dynamic. Some cultures will not even want you to tamper with their list. They tell you, this is the list, this is our daughter. In fact, I don't want to mention the tribe now, but they put so much importance on their daughters.
I know a particular community in Nigeria that they sat down together and said, you must not collect more than this for bride price, because they knew that some people were using the bride price issue to extort others. Now, he also mentioned when he was discussing that in India in 1961, the bride price, the groom price, that dowry was abolished. But he has also failed to tell us that even though there's an act that abolishes the groom price still persists. We have to understand that law is not just about a document. It's also about the perspective of people, the opinion of the people that live in society, the sociological view. The society has a great influence on what law is. There are some laws that are called paper tiger laws. They are just there in documents and cannot be implemented.
Not functioning.
Because why? See, when you talk about culture, you're talking about the identity of a people. You're talking about the essence of a people. You can, for instance, you see, you go to Hawaii, you see them wearing the skirts, the traditional skirts and everything. That's an identity. You can't tell someone who comes from that vicinity, oh, you can't wear those things. It's not possible. Do you understand? Even no matter how educated you are, we watch, what's it called? The Indian films. We see those who are as educated as they still wear the saris. Yeah. Even in the Arabs, they still wear their burqa. So you can't come and tell people to stop a particular way of life. What you can do is maybe you can try to reform it.
Okay. We've seen cases where ladies decide to elope with their lover because their parents will not listen to them, not understanding that this guy doesn't have what it takes to give you this bride price. And the girl feels, I don't even need your blessings. I love this guy, I want to go ahead with him. And she elopes with the guy, and the parents become worried. Where is she, where is she? And 3-4 years into time, she has given birth, she returns, and there's so much, fracas, bitterness everywhere. But if that had been checked initially, maybe that would not have happened. But yet, despite that, parents are still not willing, to hold back. And we've even seen cases whereby when you are even coming to take the girl, the parents will tell you, we have another younger one you are going to train for us. They will be handing over that one. I mean, how do you as a man, young man who is
bride price.
Is not this.
That is not part of the bride. That's not bride price.
But some parents will tell you it's a necessity for you to take this along.
But that is not bride price. You see, we have to also understand our African community, our African culture. We are a communalistic culture. We believe in communal lives. And that is why, even if the family of the girl doesn't hand over a child to them, most times the couple, maybe after having their first child, they want someone, someone who assists the wife, maybe like a domestic helper. And most times they resort to the family of the girl because there is this popular belief that, oh, she's the woman, and if she's from the helper is from the family of the lady, there may not be issues of acrimonies and quarrels and all that. So they will still have to go back to the family. It's more like it's not. I don't see it as a mandatory thing, but I see it as more of a cultural issue, and it doesn't have anything, like I said earlier on, to do with bride price. Bride price we are talking about is just like, I'm happy as a lawyer. In contract, there is consideration. But consideration doesn't mean it is the value of the rest. Yeah. It is not the value of the rest that is necessarily the value of the consideration. Right. It's just to show the intention that you are a willing party to a contract. Right. That is what it is.
Barrister Fadun, I need you to come out of your shell. She is breaking it and really, really holding forth her opinion. Okay. And you are just playing safe. I mean, she has given us several, instincts to make us understand that this is sacrosanct. It can never be abolished for now because this is cultural. She said it's an identity. It cannot be taken away. I mean, how do you address this?
Well, I would say that, like I said earlier, you have identities that mark us as a people. After a while, you get to look at these things and look at what is best and what is not. Well, we have said the beautiful parts of it, and then we now go to the parts that are not very beautiful. You have parents that are not doing well. Of course, we're in Africa, a lot of communities, parents are not doing well. Yeah. Whereby you now have their parents saying that, I'm going to marry my child off, maybe she's still in school or whatever. Because a man has offered a beautiful amount just to take the child away. It is very common. He comes and says, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. Somebody who is struggling and has nothing. He pays the bride price and takes the little girl away. And whatever it is he wants to do to her, I don't know. I'm not even talking about violence in this part. She was saying something about, because I must stay my position. Yeah. the issue of bride price as it stands, I talked about reformation, abolishing as it stands of payment made to the groom. I feel that money is better served, my own opinion, giving that money to the wife you're going to marry. Because you're starting a life together. If I say, fine, let me take this, whatever it is I'm giving you it to you as my wife. I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Take this. If I'm going to gift your parents something, I will gift you from the overflow of abundance of joy that comes from my heart. My parents-in-law, I love you so much, take this. But these things we are saying, it's not as simple as they say. A lot of times, some marriages do not happen because of the requirements. You know, you go there and you see the list and you be like, what is this, for goodness sake? Sometimes, I've heard stories. These things are things you can check online. A man has beaten his wife and sent her out of the house because he's protesting that he wants to marry out their child. He's looking at the bride price that's coming from this man, who is supposed to be wealthy. And he's saying, there's no way I can let this pass. Nobody's asking about what the child loves or whatever it is. I feel the money is better spent being given to your wife, who you love, to say, let me give you this as a token of my love to you. Then I'm going to give it to you. Then if I want to give my parents-in-law something, I'm going to give it to them like, I love you so much. And it's not going to be one thing. I'm going to give you several things because we have to be together for a very long time. So if I'm going to give you something, let me give something as a gift that I want to give to you. But let me give whatever it is I want to give to my wife. So we are starting a life together. We are not saying we are the richest. But of course, we are starting from somewhere. And I'd rather have that money invested in the bride.
You'd rather have that money invested in the bride. Of course, we are still right here live on The Big Issue. As a matter of fact, the conversation is getting heated up and the angles are beginning to make sense now because you're beginning to see it from different perspectives as to what this whole conversation is all about. We go for this break and when we return, it will always remain The Big Issue. If you're just joining us, this is still The Big Issue. Should bride price be abolished? Of course, we've been listening to our fantastic guests so far, and they have been, holding forth with their opinion and their stand on this particular debate. Now, I would want to take a cue from what you said before we went on that break, and he said something. He said, some families are waiting for that opportunity, for that moment, because to them, that is an opportunity for them to make money. Things are not okay for them. And this wealthy man comes. No background check, nothing. I'm coming to marry your daughter. Because he's rich, he's coming with that bag of money. And they have been in penury for God knows how long. That for them is like God blessing us through our daughter to bring fortune to our homes. Now, you do not do a background check on this man. You do not even bother to know the family he comes from. Just because he indicated he wants to come marry your daughter, and you find them convincing the girl. Sometimes you find the lady not comfortable because she obviously doesn't have chemistry with this person. But the parents will do everything to convince her to go with this man. Now, in the case where you're holding forth your opinion as bride price being cultural and sacrosanct, I mean, how do you now come to understand a situation like that? Because the lady, obviously, she's not happy, okay, but sometimes ladies, they do these things for just the satisfaction of their parents, just for them to be happy that, look, money has finally come to us. You are going off to be married. They don't care about her happiness. They don't care whether she's going to be joyful in that relationship or not. They just want to make sure she leaves the house and that bride price come in. I mean, how do you come into play here?
I still say it, that bride price is not the cause of a parent's selfishness. Even among the wealthy families, there's still arranged marriages. Even when the daughter, she obviously that from a very well-to-do family, and they want to marry the girl off to another well-to-do family. The girl is not comfortable. The girl, there's no chemistry, but the parents, for whatever they want to gain, still insist that this girl marries the young man. You see, I still insist that bride price has nothing to do with parent selfishness. Obviously, the parents who believe that the daughter is an avenue to making money are selfish parents. They do not want what is best for their parents because your daughter's happiness should always be above whatever want or money you want. But if you not use bride price as an avenue to fleece others or to, extort others, then obviously you're selfish. And, you know, marrying someone off against her will is actually an infringement of her fundamental rights. Fundamental rights for association, the right to dignity of a human person, because obviously she will never be happy in that marriage. Do you understand me? So pushing her into a marriage, even if there's no bride price, even in cultures where there are no bride price, parents still push children to marry for whatever reason. There must be a reason that selfish parents will always hide under. Bride price is not a panacea or an avenue for making money.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yes, and I actually wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
But do you agree that these things happen? That parents make their daughters marry to a wealthy man?
It is all over the world. It happens all over the world.
Yes.
It's global, a global issue.
Yes. So, and if you have, for instance, in a particular situation, you have two men, one is able to meet the bride price demands, and the other one is not able to. Who do you think the parents would choose? And
we have had parents who would say, no, I don't, like even if he has all the money, they'll say, no, I don't want this person for you.
But that is your parents.
No, not my parents. Parents all over the world do that too.
No,
the way there are selfish parents, there are also parents who are unselfish.
That's what
you
I'm
cannot
saying.
Use one paint to all parents.
That is what I'm saying. We are looking at it from the angle that if this thing is a problem to some people and it's better, because fine, what would the bride price actually do? If you want to look at what is the benefit of the bride price, they will get this and get that and get whatever it is they get. And of course, they'll spend it and use it and whatever, and it is gone. It doesn't have any long-lasting effect that if I take this bride price, I'm going to use it forever.
This money you're talking about is just a token. Most often,
it depends on
most often than not, it's just a token. It is not the actual. It is not a constitution that is so big or so much.
No, you say that, but that's what you know. What I know is the fact.
No, this is what it is.
I have instances where a wealthy man, has built a house and gave them a car. They had a problem, and then he went to the parents of the lady that your daughter no longer wants to be with me, and he took the house and took the car.
So he's a selfish. He's selfish,
okay.
Because even if the parents did not collect money from the lady, if he's as a son-in-law, if he wants to build a house for his parents-in-law or buy a car for his parents-in-law without collecting bride price, he will still go ahead to do it. And if he has that kind of intention, if they quarrel, even though they didn't collect bride price from him, he will still go back to tell them, please give me back my land and give me back my car.
You know it's common.
You do that.
That's what I'm saying. I made a point clearly that if you want to gift something to someone, at least we are lawyers, so it makes it an advantage. If you gift something to someone, it has no condition. It's a free gift. You can't come and tell me that there's a condition to it. But if I give you this as bride price, and your daughter says she wants to leave my house, the first, it is common. I'm going to get a refund of my bride price. People will say that. A lot of men will do that. We even see it on all these Nollywood movies. I want a refund of my bride price. And they will go there and cause a lot of troubles. I have an instance. I'm talking about real life situations now. A woman, a wealthy man, the wife left him, and then they had already spent what he gave them as bride price, because they were not well to do as much. He went there, detained the father, of course, it's Africa, detained the father and the brother, and told them until they return the money back, they are not going to go anywhere.
In fact, the man has committed a crime.
That's what I'm saying.
Committed a crime.
Misuse of power, though.
Misuse of power. Let me tell you something.
But they did pay back the money.
Mr. Fadun.
Yes.
You see, even in culture, I am fortunately from the western part of the country and from the eastern part of the country. So I come from two cultures.
Okay.
Even in the east, where it is touted, because I use the word touted, that the bride price is enormous, do you know what they do actually? It might be 100 naira that is the actual bride price. All the other things in the list are not bride price. So if you are talking about the marriage rights are expensive, it's a different issue entirely. But if you're talking about bride price, even in the east, where my mother comes from, the bride price is just 15 naira. But then I give you a long list, and that is what we should be attacking. That the marriage rights is not, it's too elaborate.
Madam,
but bride price,
but with the greatest respect, I think it all boils down to semantics, or what we call it or what we do not. The question is, I'm giving you a list that you have to fulfill before you marry my daughter. Whether you call it bride price, bridegroom, dowry, whatever it is you want to call it. It's a precondition for you to get married. So if you don't have it now, the best thing for you to do is leave my house and go and find a way to get this thing.
You got what he said. You are saying in some cultures, yes, bride price is as little as 50 naira, 100 naira. You are saying, why say abolish it when the price is that low? But he's saying, aside from that penny, there are other things that comes with it, which is a yardstick for marrying the girl at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, the bride price penny is hiding under a guise with other expenses that are coming with it.
In every culture, marriage is a celebration. Even if you go to cultures where they do not collect bride price, they don't give lists, do you know that they throw parties? They go to, they actually, what's it called? Throw elaborate parties.
Not all of
them.
In fact, you can get married in Las Vegas when you go and gamble. There's the minister you get married.
You wouldn't pay flight to go to Las Vegas.
You might live in Las Vegas.
You might live in Las Vegas.
Yes.
See,
so I'm saying that it doesn't have to be expensive.
Even in Las Vegas, the government still collects money for license. You pay something.
The minister pays for I'm not, as I've said, you are trying to make a point, and you're trying to emphasize the costs of getting married. I'm saying that the cost is what you make of it, or what the people around you make of it. If you are married into a family that they see it as a once-in-a-lifetime scenario, then you know you are in for it, because they are going to see it in a way that we are going to really, all our neighbors must know, all our families and friends must know that the daughter of so-so-so-so has gotten married.
I'm happy that you said some families who want to see it as a one-off chance to make wealth. Some, that is the word.
I would never say all.
That is the operational word.
Yes.
Not all. So why do you want to punish the rest of us who believe in bride price? Do you call
that 15 naira that you did not collect a punishment? Because you said 15 naira.
Look.
Do you call it a punishment?
Okay, well, I am just
because some people use it. You said some people take the 15. So yes, you said 15 naira, good. Some people take the 15 naira in good faith and accept it. Some people use that 15 naira to take 5 million naira. Because 15 naira is 15 naira, then they give you the list that costs you 10 million naira. So I'm saying that if, for instance, you that accept the 15 naira, please, for the benefit of all of us and all the youths in Nigeria that wants to get married, that cannot afford this stress, can you just let us agree to abolish this thing so that we can move forward in our lives?
Okay, now, okay.
Why abolish it?
Now,
because
why don't we think of reformation?
Okay,
I made a reformation. I brought a position.
That was what my initial statement was. Look, I don't see the need for us to argue about abolishment. What we should be talking about is, for those other cultures that gave the marriage rights are so expensive, maybe we should be thinking of, there should be, government laws that will actually, streamline this.
But you said culture is sacrosanct. If you are now involving government, you are now making statutes and, going all of.
Even
you don't need to go through that stress.
Even the matrimonial causes
says
that if what's it called, a marriage is not valid if the custom of the people
is not instituted.
Is not
what abolishment means.
Let me take you up on this very quickly. Yes, now, you said something when you started.
Yes.
I recall vividly.
Yes.
You said tribal marks is beginning to phase out, some cultures are beginning to get abolished and all that. Yes. Don't you think we're on the verge of extermination here, where our identity will be totally lost? Now, there's an outcry already that the Western culture has eroded Africa and that we have seemed to have abandoned our originality, embracing the Western culture. Now, this argument, does it not further put, nail it to the coffin that our culture will disappear? I mean, if we now decide to abolish that one cultural move that we always observe for our daughters to respectfully leave their parents' house to go and live with another man, knowing fully well that something has been done on her. I mean, if you are saying this is not going to longer be available or no longer exist, don't you think we're on the verge of losing out culturally? Identity-wise?
My answer is simply no. We are not at the verge of losing out. I will make it quick and simple.
All right.
First of all, my own position has no bearing to the West. In fact, I have no considerations of the West when I reach my position. And I said that what I asked for is a reformation. And I made my position clear, that if you're going to give 5 million naira as bride price, I'd rather you give 5 million naira to the bride. As parents, as our identity, as the culture, the most important thing in all of this, the most important thing, which is 95%, every other thing is 5, is consent. I'm going to your parents, I want them to know that I want to marry you. And the most important thing in all of this is my father and my parents saying, we have our blessings, you can go. That's the most important thing. Then every other thing is the party around it and the this and the that. That is it. Maybe, for instance, in the West, that you just alluded to, a man can take off from high school with his high school sweetheart. They'll go to another state, maybe from Texas to California, and they'll get married. Probably they'll return in 3 years' time and say, Mom, you know what? I just got married. I'll see you later whenever I see you. So that is culture, and nothing happens there. Yeah. So I'm saying that what I asked for is a reformation.
Mr.
If you can afford to put anything on ground, I believe that it best serves the purpose of developing a young marriage by giving that to the bride to say, okay, I give this to you.
Mr.
If I'm going to give your family something as a gift, of course, they are my mother and father-in-laws. We should have a cordial working relationship. There was a tweet recently, out of nowhere, I just remembered now, of a man, it went viral. You know, Twitter, when something goes viral, you get to see it on your feed. So he said he earns 50,000 naira or 40,000 naira per month or so. We went to see the bride's parents. They asked him to pay bride price of 580,000 naira. This is somebody who earns 50,000 naira a month. I'm like, how will I get this money? So he did all he could, took some money from him, made savings, took a loan and all of that. And he gave them the money, 580,000 naira. He was able to get married. So after maybe a year or so, the parents called him that one of your wife's brother is getting married. You all need to come and contribute for his own bride money. And he said, sir, I love you, no problem, but I'm not paying a dime. All the money you wanted to collect from me, I've given it to you. That is your own son, and that is your own problem. So with the greatest respect, I'm not disrespecting you, but please leave me out of all your future expenses and all of that. Yeah. So basically, this could have been averted if it was more of a cordial discussion. My son, what can you afford? Whatever it is. I'll give you as a gift. Sir, I don't have money. Take this 100,000 naira. I'm gifting it to you. Because I have a young family. I have to fend for myself. How will I take 500? That's his year salary, annual salary, as bride price. He's taking debt from taking loans, and he has to pay them back. So from all of this, I'm saying that the disadvantages, if you want to look at what is the actual advantage, because we're talking about abolishment and reformation. Yes. Abolish first, then you can talk about doing something that will serve purposes of everybody.
How can you abolish something and then bring it back?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, look, Mr. Fadun, do you agree? Wait. Do you agree that marriage is a contract? Do you agree that marriage is a contract?
Of course.
And for every contract, there has to be consideration. Well,
of course. Of course.
So, that answers my question.
Yes. Yeah, of course. If you're talking about chatels, that's the problem. It's that simpliciter way. No, let me lie. You made a point.
All right.
Yeah, she has taken it to the simple contract that we have learned in law school or in our undergraduate years. Contract, offer, acceptance, consideration. So I want to buy, I agree to sell, and then I'm going to pay. So that's why some men have that belief that, yes, it is simple contract. Marriage is a contract. I offer to marry you. Your parents have agreed, and then I pay the bride price for you. So you are a chattel to me. They won't say it, of course, but I own you. You just can't come and tell me I want you to do something now. Means I want you to do it now. You can't come and do how much I paid. And then there's this thing that's coming to my memory from realities. Yes. Maybe, for instance, you have a very elaborate bride price, whatever payment of this. Maybe the woman has a delay in getting pregnant or having a baby. Then you now see these in-laws come, the wicked ones that want to be wicked. Say, imagine, after all this money we have spent on her, she can't get pregnant. She's just eating our son's food. She's just doing this and doing that. People do it.
You get it all wrong. You get it all wrong.
All right, the argument will keep going on.
No, of course it is.
All
it's
right,
the reality.
Barrister Fadun says, beyond culture and tradition, the burden of bride price is unnecessary and need to be stopped now. On the other hand, Barrister Toyin says, bride price is a cultural gesture that needs not be trashed. Now, let's go on this break, and when we return, we hear what the audience have to say via Zoom. This is still the big issue. Welcome back. This is still the big issue, and as I said earlier, we will be going straight to our audience via Zoom. Of course, these are the dividends of COVID-19. We can't help it, but we have to go through with the plan we have on ground. We've got clear signals right now, and let's quickly establish our first connection with our first Zoom guest.
And of course, I'm also going to use myself as an example. The bride price list is usually from the family of the bride. In many cases, not even from the parents The parents don't make this list in many cases. The families of the elders of the families of the bride are actually the ones who make this list. And in many cases, they make ridiculous demands. For example, in my case, you need to see the booklets. I am not exaggerating. They gave my husband. We are not buying or we are not selling. It is a human being that is being involved here.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Amen. I appreciate you. Now, if you do not abolish this, if you continue to strive or ride in this euphoria, you discover single ladies will be all over the place. Why? Because there's a certain bride price that needs to be met before you can marry them. And sometimes
I'll still refer you back to the West, where the rate of single parents are much, much higher than Africa, Nigeria. Because it is not that people can't afford the bride price that makes people single parents. A lot of other reasons could make one a single parent. And like I say, abolishing the bride price, for me, serves no purpose.
But she just told you now that there is this entitlement mentality that erodes the man. That I have bought you. That I have invested in you.
You can't buy somebody. You can't buy somebody.
Well, so, but that's the mentality they have.
But the mentality, even where there are no bride prices, entitled men still feel entitled. You are mine. They're possessive. They have not paid anything on you. They still feel, even dating, when a girl and a boy is, a young girl and a young man is dating, the narcissist, the abusive person, still feels that I own you. You are mine. The woman who goes through your phone, you are not even married, goes through your phone, begins to, go helter-skelter trying to peep and stalk you. She didn't even pay money on you. And yet she stalks you. Why? Because why? There's something wrong mentally. It is not the bride price that makes people stalk others. It is not the bride price that makes people to be possessive. Okay, in Africa, it is mostly the men who pay bride price, right? Yeah. But we still have women who feel that if I can't have you, no one can have you.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. Now, let's establish our next Zoom guest. Obviously, this is getting heated up. has established a reality that, look, it needs to be abolished, and she was able to spring up a few examples that you and I cannot, deviate from. So who's our next Zoom guest? Quickly, who do we have next? Titi. Okay, Titi, are you there? Can you hear me?
Actually, I'm on the side that says it doesn't need to be abolished completely.
So are you throwing a question or a contribution now?
So this might sound odd, but I'm of the belief that it is a way to, in a sense, show or express the dedication the man has to this woman. So a woman has been with her parents her whole life, or she might not have been. She's lived her life. She's grown to a certain extent. And suddenly you claim that you can manage the responsibilities involved with managing a home, helping this woman also progress, moving your own self forward. From time immemorial, it's been it's been used to show a man's dedication to this new project. So the same way, if you look at project management now, you're given some kind of parameters to meet at every stage of a project. This is something that for some men is almost unsurmountable. It's a hurdle to climb. And if a man shows dedication in climbing this hurdle, it kind of gives the parents and the family the sense that down the line, if this man has further hurdles to cross, he will find the means to make that money. He will find the means to pay for that, God forbid, surgery. He will find the means to invest in that business. He will find the means for him to dedicate his time, energy, getting that money to show the parents that, look, I've been able to raise this, have this. You've looked after your daughter for so long. Take this as my offering of dedication towards your child. That is what it has always been about. I don't know what it's about now in many cultures. But even if you look to the Scots, the Scottish, they used to tell their men to go and carry tree trunks. If this man cannot carry a tree trunk, he is not worthy of my daughter. Do you know what it is to carry a trunk of wood with your bare hands and you lift it up and swing it upside down? That is in Scotland. So we're making it seem like it's just an African thing. It's not just an African thing. There are some obstacles that this man is going to have to face down the line.
Okay.
And this is just something he has to jump over. It's jumping a hoop.
All right.
Show me that later on, you're going to be able to look after my child. That's all it's supposed to be. Whether cultures are making it about something else now is another matter entirely.
Thank you very much, Cici. I appreciate you for that contribution. And before we move on to Omolara, who is standing by for her question, you heard what she said. Briefly, just respond to that. She said, look, crossing that hurdle will give the parents the assurance that this man can do anything. He can go the extra mile to have been able to meet this condition. Our daughter is in safe hands.
Well, two things I want to bring out. From what you have said,
quickly,
it is clear that it is not 15 naira that is bride price. That is first. And secondly, show me you are able to take care of my daughter when she eventually comes to live with you. Yeah. So the first criteria is for you to fulfill this lengthy list I'm going to give to you.
Yeah.
So you want me to show you I'm going to take care of your daughter. It falls back to my reformation. I'm going to fulfill that list and then I'll give it to your daughter. Let her stand from a very solid foundation. Not for you. Of course, you have done your life to maybe 60, 70%. Yeah. Your daughter is starting afresh. Let me give this to her. So she's my bride. I love her. I want to marry her. Whatever I want to do for you as my parent-in-law, if there's anything like that, I'm going to gladly do it over time. And of course, we hope that things will get better for us. So I can actually maybe tell you that,
of your free will.
Exactly. I have one duplex here. Would you like to move there? Take this car out of my free will. Yeah. And we can together, maybe this little thing I'm giving to her now is a foundation that is going to be the next Alakija or whatever it is. Instead of us trying our best to gather funds, borrow, and then give it to you, then in the comfort of our own homes, we'll now be like, man, she was just been disturbing me. The 200K you give me, I just been calling me. So, but you won't tell anybody, of course. You just know. So let's start things properly.
All right.
And of course, as adults, you should help the coming generation.
Thank you very much.
Just like I agree that bride price is a value added to womanhood. But on the other hand, seeing what's in place now, don't you think bride price is like is a factor, is an implication for domestic violence now?
Whether you like it or not, if you get something for free, there's a Yoruba adage that says that it's something that you work for, that you give value to, so something like that. If you get something you have something for free and one that you bought, the one you bought has a certain value to you. So maybe, for instance, now I feel that I've spent so much money on this lady while we're cutting, of course. Maybe there's issues of before I got to meet your parents, there are one or two things that had to be done. But now I've gone to see your parents, they're giving me this textbook of a list. And I've done my best I've fulfilled it now. Now you're with me. That sense, some men cannot help but have that sense of entitlement. To say, you know what, woman, don't tell me that. I paid your bride price. You answer to me. You were with your parents before, but now you're with me. Whatever it is I tell you to do is what you are supposed to do. You'll bring one of two things, some support here and there. But it feels that if I've spent so much money on bride prices and marriages and all of that, you should answer to me. Even in Yoruba, the derivative of bride price is owori. Maybe from that point in time, then, owori, like the money for the hair, like basically, I've not said I bought you, but of course you can get where the inclination is. Like calling it owori is, of course. Somebody saw owori, so and the wife will not say owori me. So basically, I've paid your owori, and of course you should answer to me. So some people might now feel that they have a level of control over you that we are not on, maybe feminists would not even like to hear, but we are not on the same level. You answer to me. I paid your bride price, they didn't pay for mine. That's why some people, when they say maybe the wife wants to leave, she's not happy or whatever, if she gets to leave, the first thing he wants to go and get is, I want everything I've paid for you back. Because I paid for you, and now you're not giving me the service I want. So give me my money back.
Thank you very much.
Islamically and in the northern part of the country,
yes,
it is not the parents of the bride that gets it, it's the bride that gets it. It's still bride price.
No, it's not bride price.
It's still called bride price.
No, the closest thing you will get to it is dower, not dowry. Dower, D-O-W-E-R. That's the closest thing you get under English law. And what they are trying to do, even under Jewish law, there's something they call, I think it's ketubah. It's like basically saying that, what do you have planned for your wife in case you even die? No, I have that kind of thinking that you are thinking more about the wife. As in, fine, of course, you have parents, and I love your parents just as I love mine, but we have a lot of things to do together. But I'm looking at it that now we are starting a life together. What are you thinking about for me?
What are you thinking about for me?
Yes.
Wow, it's been an explosive debate right here live on, of course, the big issue. And as a matter of fact, we can always understand the divides and how the argument has been going back and forth. This doesn't look like a conversation that would end today. But of course, it's so far the big issue. When we come back from this break, we'll be coasting home. Stay tuned. This is still the big issue. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the big issue. At this point, we are taking this home, but very quickly, we can't leave without having to hear, final thoughts from our amazing guest today. Barrister Fadun, very quickly, in 10, 20 seconds, how do you round up?
Yes, what I round up is with the main point. I talked about reformation, and she raised a topic about what happens in the North, and I also talked about what happens in the Jewish world. About the ketubah. It's focused on the bride. Just like she talked about the North, it's called mahar, which is dower. It's given to the bride. So basically, these things are centered to the bride. You're getting married, you are starting afresh, so you guys should help yourself. If I have something that should help you grow, we should grow together. And then we can all build something and then help our parents from both sides. That's what I feel should be the best.
Thank you very much. All right, Barrister Toyin, quickly.
Yes, as a gender activist, I'll fight vehemently against everything that victimizes a woman or causes a woman discomfort. But I think that bride price is not one of those things that causes discomfort or is an abuse of women's rights. Bride price is part of our culture, and when we lose our culture, we lose our identity as a people, and that should not be traded for anything. Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, if you've had fun watching this debate, follow the conversation on our social media handles at TVC Connect and at TVC News Nigeria. My personal handle is at Mark Otabo. Twitter, Instagram. Engage me with the hashtag The Big Issue. Remember, we always will tell you that if the issue is not big enough, it has no business here. Till we meet again, of course, this is always The Big Issue.